Hello, welcome to my AEW All Out 2022 predictions. There's a lot of matches, 15 matches on this card. It's going to be a hell of a long show. It's going to be a marathon, not a sprint. So, let's just jump right into it. In the words of Philip DeFranco. Going to start with the pre-show. What do they call it? The 0 hour show. And I'm just working my way down the Wikipedia list of matches. So Wikipedia leads off with Tomohiro Ishii, or Ishii, depending on who you listen to, versus Eddie Kingston in a singles match that seems to be, rumour has it, designed to bring fans over from the end of Worlds Collide onto the 0 hour show, is the general consensus, because Ishii is quite a big name to have just on the pre-show. Coming over from New Japan just to be on the pre-show is kind of sus. I think Ishii wins here. Eddie can eat losses basically all he wants. I wouldn't want to project this onto Tony Khan, but there's a chance obviously Kingston will be punished as well for the rumoured backstage goings on that have occurred. And yeah, I just think bringing Ishii over just to be on a pre-show, he might as well pick up a win, eh? You know, why not? And it's going to be a fun, hard-hitting match no matter what, isn't it? So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Ishii to win. Up next on the 0 hour pre-show, we have Pac defending the AEW All Atlantic Championship versus Kip Sabian. Pac's winning this. He's still a new champion. This might be the first defense of the title on an AEW broadcast. Apologies if I'm wrong, but it's the first one I remember. Well, I mean, I know his matches have been shown on AEW broadcast, but I mean his first one specifically on an AEW show. I believe this is his first one. He's only just won the title. He's higher up the pecking order by some distance than Kip Sabian in AEW. I just think Pac retains here. So there's my second prediction. We are motoring through these. Some other matches might require a little bit more thought and working out and reasoning, but I feel like these first few are pretty easy. Speaking of pretty easy, third match, Hook defending the FTW Championship against Angelo Parker of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Hook's winning this. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I don't think there's any need to discuss this any further, is there? They're not taking Hook's legs out from under him against Angelo Parker. I'm sorry, they're just not. So, yeah, Hook wins, and I'm fine with this. And then the fourth and final listed match for the 0 hour pre-show is Tay Mello and Sammy Guevara defending the AAA World Mixed Tag Team Championships against Ruby Soho and Ortiz. I feel like this is a clean sweep for title retentions on the 0 hour show, because I just don't know if I see Ruby Soho and Ortiz being involved with AAA or AAA. So I think keep it on the people that AAA put the titles on in the first place. In Guevara and Ty Conti, Ty Mello, whatever she's going by now. So yeah, let's go Jericho Appreciation Society, Ty and Sammy to pick up the win there. So that's the 0 hour kickoff show. Now, the first listed match on the main card on Wikipedia is Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho, which should be a lot of fun. I do see Danielson picking up the win here. I feel like Jericho is at that stage in his career now where he's mostly putting people over. And I know Danielson isn't exactly a young talent, but I feel like Danielson's more likely to be a future world champion in AEW than Jericho is at this point. I feel like Jericho's had his time at that point in the card. I don't think anything is really gained from having Jericho beat Danielson here. Also, there's the interesting story with Daniel Garcia coming into fruition. I think there's a strong chance Garcia helps Danielson, and by that I don't mean necessarily interferes for Danielson, but maybe prevents some interference from the Jericho Appreciation Society, perhaps, something like that. So, to allow Danielson to pick up the clean win when Jericho was trying to get the unclean win. So, with that in mind, yeah, I'm going to go with Danielson. Up next, the four-way match for the interim AEW Women's World Championship. Toni Storm, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Jamie Hayter, and Hikaru Shida. Now, rumour has it the plan was for Toni Storm to take the title from Thunder Rosa at All Out before injury / politics / combination of the above / we don't really know took Thunder Rosa out of the equation. So I think she's the safe prediction here, and I'm going to go for Toni Storm. I did see a video, I can't remember which larger wrestling YouTube channel it was, quite possibly Cultaholic, but I'm not sure, discussing that Jamie Hayter would be a very interesting choice here because of the dynamic with Britt Baker, with Britt seeing herself as the leader, but Jamie Hayter holding the title would be quite the interesting dynamic. So, and I agree with that. I just don't necessarily think that's the way they're going to go with it. Now would be a good time though, because you can't really damage the AEW Women's World Championship stature any more than it already is. It's already considered very lowly for a World Championship. It's been booked pretty terribly, pretty consistently. So now would be the time to take a risk on a lower card act, you know, surprisingly picking up the win. So I'm not dead against that idea, and I think it would be a good story to tell with Baker and Hayter. But I think what's more likely is that Baker and Hayter get in each other's way of winning this match, and that's where their feud comes from, rather than Hayter winning the title. So yeah, I'm going to go with Toni Storm, but shout out to Tony Khan if he decides to pull the trigger on Jamie Hayter. I think that would be the more fun story. I don't think Shida, or I think Britt Baker's second most likely. I think Shida's not really in with a look at this. She didn't even get to come out to her theme music when teaming with Toni Storm in the build to this. Like, they came out to Toni Storm's theme music. That lets you know where they see Shida on the pecking order these days, I believe. Even though she picked up the win in that match, it's still like, eh. So yeah, Toni Storm to win. Next match, 6-man tag match, the House of Black, which in case you need reminding is Malachi Black, Brody King and Buddy Matthews against Darby Allin, Sting and Miro. This is quite a tough one to predict because Darby Allin and Miro generally are presented quite strongly. Sting is Sting, but the House of Black as a trio have been presented very strongly as well in general in AEW. So this is a very difficult one. I feel like the obvious, sometimes in matches like this, the thing to do is look for who's likely to pick up the loss. And the obvious choice, unfortunately, there is Buddy Matthews. I like Buddy Matthews. I liked him as Buddy Murphy. I always thought he got a short end of the stick in WWE for what he was capable of. He didn't get given to work with very often. But I do think out of these 6, he's the most likely to get pinned, which by default gives the win to Darby Allin, Sting, and Miro. So I'm going to go with those 3. But I'm not confident in that because the House of Black are booked very strongly as a unit at the moment. So I'm not confident in that prediction whatsoever, but I'm going to stick by it. Jade Cargill defends the top women's championship in AEW, the TBS championship, against Athena. Had this been built better, which I'm not saying the build has been terrible, but I just don't feel like Athena has been built as a real threat to this title, I would be more tempted to go with Athena. I love Athena. So, like I just did with Buddy Matthews, calling back to the WWE days, I loved Ember Moon. But I just feel like Jade Cargill has been presented as a rung or 2 above Athena on the ladder, and above most people on the ladder in the women's division, to be perfectly honest. At some point, this title reign and undefeated streak has to come to an end. But I'm just not sure it's here. It could be. This is probably one of the bigger threats Jade Cargill has had to her reign. But I'm going to side with Jade here to retain, pick up the win and retain. So yeah, Jade Cargill to win, but I'm not 100% convinced on that one. Up next, we have Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage in a singles match. Now, this story has been very personal. There's a potential that they're going to give Christian the win here to continue the story. But I predicted this for Rollins and Riddle on Clash at the Castle for WWE, because WWE have, you know, pay-per-views every month, so it's easier to do that, whereas I think AEW's next pay-per-view is going to be in like November, and it's just a little longer to drag out a storyline, so I think this could be the blow-off, or they could do it on Dynamite, I guess, but I'm going to go with Jungle Boy to win here. I feel like getting the big win at All Out would be more valuable than losing at All Out and then getting a win on Dynamite. And I think they're unlikely to feud all the way through to the next show. Is it Full Gear? Is that the late year one? Yeah, it must be. Oh no, it's Full Gear in the middle of the year. I don't know, but whatever the end of year show is, I don't think they're going to still be feuding there. So, with that in mind, I'm going to pick Jungle Boy to pick up the win here. Up next, 6-man tag team match. Wardlow and FTR versus Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. This is a really fun match. I think a lot of people are in agreement that we'd rather see FTR versus the Machine Guns and then maybe Wardlow and Jay Lethal separately with the TNT title on the line. But I think maybe they'll build to FTR versus the Machine Guns. And because of that, there is a chance that the Machine Guns beat FTR here. Like, one of the Machine Guns pins one of FTR to earn a shot at the ROH or New Japan or AAA or all 3 tag titles. I'm not sure what... Like, the Machine Guns coming in could be just coming in as a one and done and take the fall and off they go. And it could be fun. But I don't know what's to be gained from Wardlow and FTR picking up the win. But can I see them losing here? Like, they've been so good. Like, Wardlow's been incredibly dominant. And FTR have just been, like, the best tag team in the world. You know, like, literally, they just have for quite some time now. So, this is actually kind of a tough one to call, just because I can't see what's to be gained from Wardlow and FTR winning. Maybe there is nothing long-term to be gained. Maybe it's just, you know, a feel-good, here's our best guys picking up a win because we didn't want their titles on the line for some reason on the show kind of situation. I'm going to go Wardlow and FTR because it feels wrong to bet against them with 2 guys that are Impact wrestlers and Jay Lethal, who's not exactly high up on the AEW totem pole, is he? So yeah, I'm going to pick FTR and Wardlow, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of dodgy finish leading to potential split title matches where Jay Lethal challenges Wardlow and or the Machine Guns challenge FTR. So I won't be surprised by that, but I'm going to go with Wardlow and FTR nonetheless. Up next, the Casino Ladder match, where the winner receives a future AEW World Championship match, and we've got Claudio Castagnoli versus Wheeler Yuta versus Penta El Zero Miedo, Rey Fenix, Rush, Andrade El Idolo, Dante Martin, and a mystery person. And Tony Khan has hinted at someone coming back at All Out. Now, I'm not sure what the physical status of Adam Cole is, but he's the first name that springs to mind. I haven't heard any rumours, which is surprising to me, actually, because I do watch quite a bit of, you know, wrestling chat on YouTube, and yet I've not really heard anything about who this may be. I think I've managed to dodge the right videos just purely by luck. If it's Adam Cole, he's probably winning the whole thing, isn't he? It could be do you give this to Claudio? He's not going to win the AEW World title, but it'd be interesting to have him challenge, especially based on who's currently competing for the AEW World title. Either of those matches would be quite interesting, wouldn't it? This is really tough to call. I can't predict Adam Cole because he's not announced for the match. If Adam Cole is the TBD, then I pick Adam Cole. However, my actual prediction is just to go with Claudio. He feels like the biggest star. Penta and Rey Fenix are presented well on AEW TV, so their potential. Wheeler Yuta getting an early in his career world title shot that obviously he's not going to win, but it's invaluable experience, would be fun. Rush has been presented very strongly since he turned up in AEW, and Andrade is sort of always capable of stepping to that level, I would say. Dante Martin is in the same boat as Wheeler, I would say, where it'd be fun for him to get a world title shot that he's never going to win, but he can put up a good performance. You know, he can be put over in defeat. But I'm going to go Claudio. Final answer. Claudio Castagnoli to pick up the win. Unless Adam Cole turns up. Up next, Swerve in Our Glory defending the AEW World Tag Team Championships against the Acclaimed. Now, the Acclaimed are super over at the moment. They've got something like the top 2 selling lines in the AEW merch store, which is their Micro Brawlers and I think it's their Scissor Me Daddy Ass t-shirt. And it's one of their t-shirts anyway. They're doing really well in terms of merch sales and stuff. I'm just not sure I see them picking up the win here. But there's been that permanent tease of friction between Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland that's always in the back of my mind when predicting their matches. And with the Acclaim being so over, I'm going to go for it, you know? I'm going to go for a slightly out of left field prediction here. I'm going to predict the Acclaim to pick up the win. I don't feel good about doing that. As soon as I said that, everything in my being wanted to be like, no, retract that. But I'm gonna stand by it, and that's probably going to be a blemish on my prediction record. But I'm standing by it. Go on the Acclaimed. Let's see them pick up the tag titles. Swerve and Our Glory feel like a team that are always just heading for a breakup. Just a bit of an up and down roller coaster of a route to get there. Whereas the Acclaimed are a tag team, and there's a lot of value on tag team wrestling in AEW. So let's prove that by getting the titles back onto a proper permanent tag team. So yeah, the Acclaim to win. I really don't feel confident in that prediction, but we're going with it. I've been powering through these, and yet still, this is quite the long video. Up next, Ricky Starks versus Powerhouse Hobbs. This has to be Ricky Starks, right? Like, he's the breakout star of Team Taz. I mean, other than Hook, who was never really fully in Team Taz. He was just sort of like background, and then as soon as he was actually in ring, he basically was separated from Team Taz visually. Ricky Starks is the breakout star there, I think. And again, just like the Jungle Boy and Christian Cage thing, there's a chance of like Powerhouse Hobbs picking up the win for Ricky Starks to come back and eventually pick up the bigger win. But what's the bigger win than All Out? You know, the only bigger show arguably is Double or Nothing, which is a long way away. That's like, you know, spring. So I don't think you do that here. I think we go Ricky Starks and just go with the obvious route. Now, speaking of the obvious route, the tournament final for the inaugural AEW World Trios Championship, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks against Hangman Adam Page and Alex Reynolds and John Silver of the Dark Order. The obvious answer here is the Young Bucks, but in the tournament to crown the first AEW Tag Team Champions, the obvious answer was the Young Bucks, and they went against that. Plus, they're telling this story constantly of Kenny Omega not being at 100%, and yet they're still picking up wins. And I'm like, at some point, the Elite have to lose for that story to be of value, right? So is it here? Are they going to have the... Because the Dark Order have felt like they're on... You know, like a few of them have been... I was going to say been released, but not been renewed, is the actual way it's worked out, isn't it? The Dark Order in general feel like they've never really been lower on the totem pole, at least not since Mr. Brody Lee came in. Like, when they very, very first debuted, they were really low down the card. But ever since they were built up by Mr. Brody Lee being it, they've never been lesser regarded. However, they do have Hangman Adam Page on their team. This is tough. Again, the obvious answer is the Elite, but something about this tells me that they're not going to win it. But I went with the controversial one with the Acclaim, so I'm going to go with the safer option here and say the Elite just win it. They need to be the first something, don't they? You know, Kenny wasn't the first world champion, the Bucks weren't the first tag champions. So maybe this is where they actually get there first. I'm not super confident in that. But they just beat Will Ospreay and Aussie Open, which I would say is a bigger threat than Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order, right? I don't know. Hangman Page is super strongly booked, though. But there's, again, you go to that who's most likely to pick up the loss that we went to in the other trios match with House of Black. And it's John Silver or Alex Reynolds, isn't it? So, yeah, on that logic alone, I'm going to go with the Elite. Final answer. Let's move on before I overthink this to high hell. And finally, the main event. We have Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Championship, the undisputed World Championship, against CM Punk, the man from whom he won the World Championship to unify it with his interim World Championship. It's in Chicago. There's so many rumblings of a Punk heel turn, and so many different ways I've heard people pitch of it potentially happening where they might even manage to convince Chicago to boo Punk. And all of them involving winning the title and being a heel champion. And I'd be here for it, because honestly, as fun as Punk can be as a face, and charismatic and entertaining and what have you, Punk's real strength is being a heel. That's his real strength. He's a great babyface. He's a near perfect heel. Like, he's so damn good as a heel. So, I'd be here for it. It does mean Jon Moxley's had a short official title reign, but I don't know how they're going to count it. Do the days he had as interim champion count towards his title reign or not? I'm a little confused as to how this interim situation works in terms of title reign length and crossover between title reigns. If anyone could shed any light on that in the comments, I'd be happy to hear your thoughts, / if it's been confirmed and I've just not seen it. I'd love to know. But yeah, I'm actually going to pick CM Punk here. I think this is a little bit of a pick-em, but I think there's going to be some sort of, even if it's not an outright heel turn, I think that we're going to start laying the foundation for a heel turn. Maybe someone interferes on Punk's behalf and he seems unhappy about it or something. You know, that slow burn heel turn where he still believes he's the babyface. Kind of like the Raw 1000 heel turn, although he actually did something heelish on that. There's a chance he does nothing heelish here and it still starts the heel turn. But I think I've discussed this long enough and I think I am going to stick with CM Punk. So let's just have a quick recap of this hella long card and who I think is going to win. On the 0 hour pre-show, I think Ishii beats Kingston, Pac beats Kip Sabian, Hook beats Angelo Parker, and Ty Mello and Sammy Guevara retain their championships against Ruby Soho and Ortiz. On the main show, I think Danielson beats Jericho, Tony Storm walks away with the interim AEW Women's World Championship, Darby Allin, Sting and Miro beat House of Black, which still feels wrong to say, Jade Cargill beats Athena to retain the TBS Championship, Jungle Boy beats Christian Cage, Wardlow and FTR beat Jay Lethal and the Machine Guns. Again, another one I'm not sure about. A lot of 6-man tags, trios matches that I'm not sure about. The Casino Lana match, Claudio Castagnoli and Lester TBD is Adam Cole, in which case Adam Cole, baby. The Acclaimed to win the tag team championships from Swerve in Our Glory, very controversial pick. But I actually feel better about that now after some of these trios ones that I'm really not sure about. Ricky Starks defeats Powerhouse Hobbs. The Elite defeat Hangman and the Dark Order for the inaugural World Trios Championships. And CM Punk defeats Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. There you go. There's my picks. Let me know in the comments what you agree with, what you disagree with, and why, what your thoughts are going into this show, who you're predicting and why. I'd love to hear all about it. Don't forget to leave a like. It's greatly helpful for the channel. And for me personally, I'd love to see those likes start to stack up. It's very helpful, very nice, very evil. Danhausen's not on the show. Boo. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here and share with your friends if you think they would enjoy what I do. But for now, all I have left to say is thank you very much for watching. As always, I've been Ebeza, you've been amazing, and I will see you next time.